Alrighty, awesome. Well, thank you all so much. We are excited to be hosting this webinar with Poppin Cobs Corn. For those of you that I haven't met, my name is Sophie Lindley, and I'm one of the Farm to School coordinators for the Indiana Grown for Schools Network. I help support it along with Brianna Good, who's also on the call. Um, and we're just excited to be learning a little bit from Poppin Cobs. They have been around for about a decade and they'll be sharing more, but just a little bit of an intro for them. They have been around for about a decade and they now grow their very own signature variety of popcorn. The popcorn is grown on their family farm in Burlington, and then they process the corn in their popcorn factory near Flora. I think they'll talk a little bit about that as well. So yeah, I will turn it over to Josh and he can share more about their farm and how popcorn grows. And we would love for this to be as interactive as possible. Feel free to ask questions. And we are grateful for everyone's time today. I'll turn it over to you, Josh.
Thanks, Sophie. Thanks, Brianna, for setting all this up today. Um,
Absolutely.
we appreciate everyone also joining to hopefully learn a little bit, not only about what we do, but just about popcorn in general to share with the youth of our state. So if you got any questions, definitely feel free to pipe in. I'm going to start by just introducing myself and talking a little bit about like our story and our farm, how we do what we do, why we do what we do, and then I will dive into the lesson. So if there's any questions along the way, feel free to uh, pipe in.
Perfect.
Yeah, so starting off,
There we go.
we started, again, my name is Josh Poshman. I'm one of the co-founders of our business along with Adam Bechtel, and his wife Haley might be joining us here shortly if she can get logged on. Um, she helps with a lot of our marketing. So we started back in 2014 as a brand, and we've really, obviously, like a lot of companies, we've really evolved over the years. So we got started when my wife and I had first started dating at the time. My family was growing popcorn in the Seymour, Indiana area for a local processor, and she wanted to see if a popcorn cob would actually pop in the microwave. So I kind of rolled my eyes, but we'd probably only been dating for maybe 3 months, and I went out there and I grabbed a couple for her, and we tried it, and sure enough, it did. So a couple things. I always blame her for where we are today, but also I kind of joke too. You know, I did probably been a few years further along, or a few months further along in our relationship. I probably would not have went out to that and done that effort, and Poppin' Cobs probably does not exist. So. Um, Anyway, so obviously it popped off in the or popped in the microwave. We thought it was cool. Um, my buddy at the time, Adam, the co-founder and owner of the business, um, we decided that maybe it'd be something fun we could do to sell at local farmers markets or maybe a few retailers. So we started kind of picked a few years. We picked about 1,500 years that first year and put them in little, I don't have any pictures of it on here, but little cheap poly bags and sold it with at a couple farmers markets and some local shops around central Indiana. Um, and it really kind of started expanding from there. About 2015, we got a deal with a large online retailer. That was our biggest customer for probably 4 or 5 years. And then in 2019 or 2020, I have to think about it now. I basically, Adam and his wife Haley, um, took the business over and invested a bunch of money into it and have really done a good job of making it what it is today. So I'm still very involved in the business. Um, so we grow all our popcorn on two family farms. The main farm we grow on is in Burlington, Indiana, and that's near our facility. I think the next slide has, um, so I don't know if you have control over that. Yep. So between Kokomo and Lafayette is Burlington, Indiana. We, so we'll grow our popcorn there, and then the next town over is actually where our facility is. in Flora, Indiana, about 15 minutes west of the farm. So we have about a 10,000 square foot facility over there where we'll actually take all the corn that we pick in the field. We'll bring it in to the facility. We'll take the husk off. We will actually cut all the ends of the popcorn off. We do that for two reasons. One is that they don't pop very well anyways. Um, Secondly, that helps it make it uniform and will fit into our packaging. So from there, um, we take it and we'll either store it until it can be packed or pack it off the line. Um, and there'll be some pictures of our packaging if you haven't seen it in some other slides here. So if you want to go to the next slide. So our corn is grown between our two family farms, my family farms in the Seymour, Indiana area, about right between Indy and Louisville of I-65, and then on the Mummert family farm, which would be Adam and Haley's family in again Burlington, Indiana. So our families, we also both grow corn and soybeans, as well as some other smaller crops on our farm. So popcorn is really just a portion of what we do as well. So, but all grown in right here in Indiana. So it's kind of unique in what we call the consumer packaged goods business, where we take everything from the seed to what you see on the shelf. You know, most of the time, either the production is outsourced to farms. You know, when you think of your bigger companies, they have farmers growing it for them, and they bring it into their facility. Or it's actually a lot of smaller companies might actually produce the product themselves and then send it to a what would they call a co-packer or a co-manufacturer. Um, we do all that in-house, so we're kind of unique in that aspect. But it's a unique process to begin with, so there wasn't a lot of options for us. Um, but also it allows us to control everything along the way and produce what we hope is people think is a good quality product. Um, can you go to the next slide, please? And Haley, were you able to join us?
Yes, I'm on
Okay.
finally.
All right. So we got a video here of kind of how the product works, and then Haley's going to talk a little bit about some of our products and where we're kind of sold at and kind of where the business is today.
Thanks, Josh.
Uh,
Sorry, guys. I hate and love technology at the same time. Okay, so this is a video that we created just to show how to make a Poppin' Cobb. So I'll let you watch that first. If I can get it, go ahead and click play if you don't mind. And there should be sound, but I don't know if you can hear it or not. So you pretty much just take the cob, put it inside the provided bag, pop it in the microwave for 2 minutes. It makes a full bag of farm fresh popcorn, and then it's ready to be eaten. The cob is very hot when it comes out, so just be careful with that. Yeah, any questions on that? No? Okay.
And can people, just real quick, Brandon, are people able to come off mute?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, perfect.
I know that in the past I have messed that up before. Would someone mind coming off mute just to be sure, or put it in the chat if you're not able to?
Hi,
Oh,
you're able
good.
to.
Thank
Perfect.
you. Okay. Thanks, Jen
Great.
and Mary. I appreciate that. Okay. Good deal. Yeah. If you have
Awesome.
questions, feel free to come off mute or drop it in the chat.
Yeah.
Awesome. You can pop to the next slide if you don't mind. Okay, so we started off as just providing popcorn on the cob, which is our original brand that started 10-ish years ago, right, Josh? Um, and 2014, I guess, so 11. So Poppin' Cobs popcorn is our original brand. Since we have grown and expanded, we now offer some flavor options. We also offer popcorn off the cob, so kernels, just traditional kernels. We have kind of blanketed all of that under Burlington Grain and Produce Company. So that's our parent company name. And then our two brand names are Burlington Farms and Poppin Cobs popcorn. So that's going to hopefully let us expand even more into the farm category, mostly popcorn, but some items that go along with popcorn, our seasonings and stuff like that. So just so that you understand, you'll see these logos on the next slide. That's kind of how our hierarchy of brands work. Go ahead and next one, please. Oh, back one. Okay, so here's a picture that just shows some of our products. You'll see some of our flavored varieties there. Our kernels, as I mentioned, under the Burlington Farms brand, different packaging that we have, different quantities. And then also one of our newer items is pictured there kind of on the left side, the Popcorn Lovers Variety Pack. We were really excited about that because it's an item that offers all 5 of our new flavors in one bundle, which is just a really fun gift item for like a movie night or for a popcorn lover in your family. So you can kind of see some of our other product offerings there. Next slide, please. And then I'm always intrigued when brands say like where you can find us. And so the next 2 slides are dedicated to that. We have recently launched into all of the Fresh Time markets in Indiana. So that's been really fun to see something that, just being in a bigger name store has been really cool for us. So we're in all, I think, 16 Fresh Times in Indiana. We are very, very recently into Fresh Market. And I said Midwest region. Josh could elaborate on that, but I know it's Indiana, I think up to Chicago and kind of nearby. We have our own Amazon shop, so you can literally order our popcorn right to your door, either from our website or our Amazon. And then 2 that are coming soon, hopefully this fall, will be in Home Goods, which is very exciting, as well as the local section of Meijer in Indiana. So some names you might recognize there, which is really exciting for us. Next slide, please. And then just as exciting, we have several like boutique type stores that carry our popcorn, both in Indiana and also nationwide, which I always love getting to know the little shops that carry our popcorn, and you get a lot of good feedback from customers that way. Like we have a direct connection there, which is really fun. Neiman Harvest Market in Carmel. It's a really, really neat store if you haven't been there. Indiana Gifts in Lebanon. I just called out a few of them. Adorning Oaks in Sheridan. That's actually one that I own on the side. And then Squeaks in Floresville, Texas. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but they've been a really fun partner. They've given us several shout outs on social media, so it's really fun to see kind of some behind the scenes there. And then River City Coffee and Goods is a really neat boutique store in Evansville, Indiana. So lots of little shops like this throughout. So if you ever do see our popcorn, definitely take a picture of it and tag us on social media. It's one of my favorite things to see from a marketing side, where our popcorn pops up, literally. So next slide, I think, or maybe it's Josh taking over. Yeah, so this is where we're going to kind of shift from about us and our company to more of the educational side on popcorn, which Josh is going to take over on that. But before we do, does anybody have any questions for either of us? We both grew up on a farm, and we've been involved with this business for a decade now. So if you have any questions, we'd welcome it.
Hey, my name's Mary. I grew up in Grant County on a farm. Question for you. Does the product come in like bulk, as in instead of buying single packets and things like that, can you get it like in a package of 12 or 24 or things like that?
Yes. I would maybe ask Josh on the exact quantity, or I could pull up our website, but we did at one point sell, I'm actually pulling it up right now on my other computer that had technical difficulties earlier. But yes, we do have a 50 pack on our website. It includes only the cob and the bag. So
Okay.
um, everything you need to make it, it's just not individually packaged. So yeah, that is an option.
Yeah, because I was thinking at our big celebration this in October, we might have a giveaway kind of thing for our
Okay.
different lunch times and have
Yeah.
like a raffle kind of thing. So that's why I was
Okay.
asking. So
Yeah.
if your website's included in the information, then
It
I could go take a
should
peek.
be. Okay. Yeah. Yep. You can see everything there. And if you need
Great.
anything different than that's what's on there, I'd be more than happy if they shared my contact information.
Okay.
Follow up. That's fine as well.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay. Josh, take it away.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in. We'll definitely share contact information and the code. They made a code specific to schools, and you get a small or a discount, a good size discount actually. And so we'll be sure to share that after the call with everyone.
All right. So for the educational piece here, so we get a lot of questions and about just corn and popcorn in general and what makes it all. Why is sweet corn different from popcorn? How does it grow? So I just want to take a minute to kind of go through, just from a farmer's perspective, a little bit, just how corn grows and a little bit the difference in popcorn and maybe like sweet corn or something that you're used to buying at the supermarket. So there's 5 different types of corn, as you can see on the slide here. The most common kind you're going to see in Indiana, I think it's 95% or more, is dent corn. So most of that corn is going to go into livestock feed or ethanol production here in Indiana. Uh, Sweet corn is the most, ironically, even though dent corn makes up 95% of what you see, this is what most people are most common with, right? This is what we grow in our garden. This is what we buy at the grocery store in the summer. Um, this is the fun stuff, the lather butter and salt and pepper on. So flour corn is probably the one you're least familiar with, but you might have heard of farmers, maybe in your community, talking about producing white corn, depending on where you are. So white corn or food grade corn, will be milled into flour, and most of the time, and like in Indiana, you're going to see that put into like tortilla chips or obviously corn chips at like Frito-Lay. Um, and that's a good market in certain geographies of our state for farmers. Flint corn, probably the oldest corn. This is also called Indian corn. You can probably tell that by the picture. We all probably know what that is. Really, not it is edible, not really consumed. It's obviously more grown for decorative purposes. And then lastly, popcorn. So Indiana and Nebraska both claim to be the popcorn producing capital. If you can flip to the next slide. I don't have the exact statistics in front of me, but Indiana originally was probably the highest producing popcorn state. Recently, I think we've been surpassed by Nebraska. But between the two states, we produce a lot of not just the United States popcorn, but the world's popcorn. So, Orville Redenbacher started in Indiana. Um, and just from there on out, there's several popcorn facilities and companies based out of our state. So I think it also was it last year, I believe then Governor Holcomb made popcorn the official snack of Indiana. So kind of cool. If you want to go to the next slide. So I'll talk a little bit how not just popcorn, but corn in general is grown. So most of our popcorns, we're going to try to start planting it in late April or early May. This year, I think we ended up planting it in, I forget, Haley, I think it was like Memorial Day weekend. So it got pushed in almost June, if not June.
Yeah,
Um,
it's late.
so with a wet spring, that happens. You can plant popcorn up until about June 15th in Indiana. Um, the reason you wouldn't plant it later than that is because the corn itself has to dry down. We'll talk to that a little bit here in a second. But popcorn has to, and all corn has to dry down to a certain moisture so that it'll pop properly. So if we plant after June 15th in the state of Indiana, historically speaking, we're not going to get enough warm weather to dry our popcorn down. It's not going to reach proper maturity. So while it might grow and look just fine, it's not going to be able to pop. So we have to cut it off there. Um, so the popcorn we'll plant in the ground. We'll plant about, we measure, and like a lot of farmers, we talk in per acre. So we'll plant, depending on the popcorn variety, about 30 to 35,000 seeds per acre. We hope that we get about 98% of those to sprout and germinate. So when we go to harvest our popcorn, we're hoping to get anywhere from, I think this year we planted about 35,000 seeds. We're hoping about 33 to 34 come up. And then when we go to harvest, being a little different that we're harvesting on the cob, we'll hope to get about 20 to 25,000 popcorn cobs per acre that we can sell. Um, what we do with the rest is, as personally, we will shell them off. And that's why we really have other um, brands of popcorn that don't pop off the cob, because we got to do something with the cobs that just aren't pretty enough to sell, for lack of a better term. Next slide. So popcorn can grow to be about 8 feet tall. I think that's my lovely back right there, walking, checking out a popcorn field, and probably about 3 or 4 weeks after we planted it. So it's important during the growing season to check on corn to see if it's got adequate nutrients. You can tell typically by the color of the leaf, if it looks discolored, if it looks striped, um, if it looks like the edges of it are turning brown. All those different symptoms indicate a certain nutrient deficiency. And it's important to scout our fields so that we know what kind of nutrient deficiency we may have so that we can potentially correct it still in season. The other thing we do is we obviously need to scout for pests, weeds, bugs, fungus, like all crops. So that's something we make sure to do up until probably waist high. Next slide. So popcorn will tassel out like all corn, in midsummer. So if we planted it in Memorial Day weekend this year, we're hoping it's gonna tassel probably late July, roughly 2 months after you plant it. So what tassels do, just in all corn, not just popcorn, is they help with the reproductive. So they're the male reproductive part of the plant. The pollen from the plant will drop, and it'll be taken into the silks of the corn, and the silks will connect the pollen to a kernel. So for every silk, there's also a kernel of corn. Fun fact of the day there. So also, I say waist high. You can scout your fields, all the way through harvest, but if you have allergies like a lot of us do, I wouldn't recommend walking through a cornfield midsummer. That's what we got drones for now. So that's a whole different conversation. So next slide, please. So what we're getting ready for now, and obviously it's harvest in the state of Indiana. Some farmers have started harvesting corn. We'll probably start harvesting our popcorn in either later this month or maybe the first part of October. Uh, we test the corn, so we know that corn's ready to harvest um, when it gets to be about, for our popcorn, about 15% moisture. So farmers will talk in moisture on corn. Um, so that we have little devices now that my grandparents didn't have, that we will go out and actually hand shell um, corn, put it in this little handheld device, and it will tell you, hey, your corn's at 19% moisture, your corn's at 15% moisture. I did some the other day on some of our family farm, it was at 23%. So what that tells us is we know about, based on the weather and how hot it's going to be, how windy it's going to be, we can then estimate about how long it's going to take for the corn to dry down to be ready to harvest. So we know that if the corn gets to be about 19% moisture, that within probably a week, it's going to be ready to go. So that allows us to get our equipment ready and get into the fields. Next slide. And I guess back to that previous one real quick. Our most corn and popcorn is harvested with a combine, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. So what the combine does is it pulls the cob from the stalk, shucks it, and also takes the kernel off the cob. So then when the combine goes to dump into a tractor with a wagon or a semi truck in the field, you're only getting the kernels. We have actually that's it. Yep, there's a combine we all know. So we have a little different harvester. Our harvester looks similar to that, but it will only pull the uh, popcorn cob from the stalk. It then immediately shoots it into, it goes via a belt into a truck or a wagon, a dump wagon actually that's driving next to it. And the dump wagon is hydraulic driven and it will lift up when it's full and it will dump into a semi truck. So it takes about 2 wagons to fill up a semi truck. Um, so we are different then. That's why we have to bring the popcorn cobs with the husk on it into our facility. And then that's kind of when we go through the second part of the process. But most of that typically would be done in normal, like dent corn or normal popcorn. It's just all done with a combine. So, so then I mentioned the moisture level. It's not as important with corn that gets fed to livestock or goes into ethanol production or even flour production. But for popcorn, moisture is crucial. Um, Popcorn will start to pop around 16 or 17%, but it will not pop properly. So it'll be very small. It'll be kind of chewy. Um, Popcorn pops the way you want it to around 14% moisture. So popcorn farmers have to be very particular about not harvesting too early, but also you don't want it to get too dry either. So harvest harvest and storage of popcorn is much different than regular corn.
Also,
Um,
when we are harvesting, with all popcorn, but also especially with ours on the cob, we have to be very cautious with how we're handling the cobs, because any kernel that were to get dinged just enough to create a hole, that kernel won't pop, because when you pop popcorn in the microwave, it's the moisture within the kernel that heats up. And creates the popped kernel. And so just when looking at that picture of the combine, that's something new to me. I grew up on a farm, but popcorn is new within my lifetime for our farm. And that's something that I'm like, oh, yeah, you have to be very cautious to make sure that you're handling the popcorn very delicately with your equipment to ensure that, because anybody that sticks a cob in the microwave wants to see all the kernels pop, and they don't all pop, but we want to see the majority. And so that's something that I've learned in the last 10 years.
yeah. So, and to Haley's point, we'll use more, a lot of popcorn farmers will use more, we'll transport the grain with belts and conveyors versus like steel augers, which is what's used for most grain handling. So it's a little more costly. It's a little more, it's not as efficient as bulk like soybean and corn handling, but it's what's necessary if you want to produce a high quality product. I think we have maybe one more slide or a video that kind of shows popcorn popping in slow motion. It's just kind of neat more than anything. I think it's very dramatic actually too.
It is very dramatic. It sounds like this
Especially with
has to be in
music.
there. Yeah.
Just a quick ad here.
Yeah, that's okay. And if the sound doesn't work, it's okay. It's just drama. It's just kind of a cool video to show it. So yeah, it's just essentially heating that kernel enough to where it, and I'll show you here, I believe. And it actually turns it inside out. So the inside of the kernel pops to the outside, which is kind of cool and spins around.
Yeah, and that's about the gist of it. If you want to, you can cancel out of that. But um, yeah, that's kind of what we had prepared. So is there any questions on popcorn production or the difference in popcorn and um, other corn, or any questions at all? Nope. Well, if not, we appreciate you guys taking the time to hop on and hopefully learn a little bit. Um, you can take back and share with the kids. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I know both Sophie and Brianna, they got our emails, so they can include that if you guys ever got any questions, if you're preparing anything for class. Um,
I
we'd be
saw
happy to answer.
a
Yeah.
question pop up there,
Here we
but
are.
then it went away, and I'm not. Let's see.
Yeah,
I think
is there a
it's
way to tell
Here
by
we go.
the field? Yeah. So on popcorn, it's actually easier to tell. On some of the other corns, it's not. Popcorn will have like really, it'll usually be a little shorter, and it'll have a really floppy, lazy tassel. It'll just the tassel will kind of be leaning over more than a normal corn, which would be more straight up. Uh, Indian corn also is pretty easy to tell if you ever grown Indian corn or flint corn in your garden. It gets more like 12 or 15 feet tall. So that's also an easy one to tell, but you don't really see fields of that. You see more, it's more telling the difference in popcorn or dent corn. But I always say it just kind of looks like really crappy corn. Is there a
There's
difference
another.
between yellow popcorn and
Yep.
white popcorn? Not in the way it's grown, but if you pop it, sometimes depending on the variety of the white popcorn, typically the hole that they call the holes um, are smaller, which makes for a crunchier popcorn. So basically, the crunchier the popcorn is they consider the smaller the hole. Um, so some of those varieties are more, I guess, more tender that way. So white popcorn is actually much, in my opinion, it's a better to consume. It doesn't yield as much as traditional yellow popcorn, so that's why you don't see it commercially as often. Yeah, yeah, I like white popcorn better. Yep, makes sense.
Oh, well, maybe that's our next venture.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Thinking about schools and just an educational opportunity, do you provide like field trip opportunities to your farm or any other types of resources around education?
It's a really good question. We have not done any field trips previously, but I would say we would be open to it. My dad, and Adam and Josh just love showing people around the farm. I've never seen happier guys than them being able to explain what they do. So if anybody's interested in that, I think it's something we could definitely discuss.
And then another thing I know we had kind of talked about a while ago, Josh, is maybe do you guys ever see a potential for like a bulk kernel purchase being able to be made? I know I can't remember, Haley, I know you were talking about the 50 cobs, but I couldn't remember if that would ever be something possible for like a food service director if they wanted to buy, multiple pounds of the kernels, if that could be something
Yeah,
that could
we're
be worked
working
out.
on, and we're pretty much there. But yeah, we'll have 25 and 50 pound bags available probably later this year.
Sweet.
It's something we've been working on.
Awesome. And we will also, there's a really cool lesson plan that Indiana, or sorry, National Ag in the Classroom has developed. And so we feel like it partners really well with their product. So we'll make sure to link that lesson plan again for any teachers in the room, or if you have teachers that you would like to share this product with along with the lesson plan, we'll be sure to give you that information as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention that some of the, or most of the slides that we pulled on the second half of our presentation were directly from that resource. So thanks for sharing that with us. We tweaked a little bit with some of our pictures, but wanted to keep some things consistent to what would be shared in the classroom. So
awesome.
Yeah.
All righty. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Nope, I was just going to say thank you again for
Yeah, thanks for having us.
having us on and setting it up. So if we
Yeah,
can have a bit of help, let us know.
All righty. Yeah, thank you guys so much. It was so interesting. That dramatic video at the end was very fascinating to me. So I'm glad you guys
It was
put that
drama,
in.
but I'm like, this has to be part of it.
Yeah, no, it's cool just to learn about the whole process of things. Of course, that's why we wanted to feature you guys, because you're experts in this product, and we would all love to learn from you. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
I wanted to also let anyone know, if you're working with a corn producer and you would want us to feature them, we really just want to be a platform for farmers to be able to share their products and share their information. So please reach out if you know of a corn farmer that might want to be featured in this same way. We'd just love to highlight all the great work that you corn producers are doing in the state. So
Yep. Well, appreciate you guys.
alrighty.
You guys do
Thanks
as
so
well.
much.
So
All right. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks so
Thank you
much.
all.